Hello and welcome to Samarth by Hyundai in partnership with NDTV, a movement for equal rights for people with disabilities. Many groups have historically been underrepresented in the media or then depicted as stereotypes reinforcing negative societal perceptions. Diverse and authentic representations in popular culture and media can literally change how we look at people. Disability representation in popular culture has evolved over time, but it still faces challenges in achieving an authentic and nuanced portrayal. How can the film and television industry and other avenues of popular culture use their power to move the needle on the representation of disability? How can they influence perceptions and attitudes? To talk about this, today we are joined by Bhavesh Patel, Software Accessibility Test Engineer. Bhavesh is the only and first visually impaired photographer to be commissioned for a fashion ad shoot in India. We're also joined by Abhishek Anika, writer, poet, and spoken word performer. Abhishek identifies as a person with disability and chronic illness. He recently authored The Grammar of My Body. Joining us also is Suresh Trivedi. He directed the film Jalsa in 2022. The film featured a child with cerebral palsy. The 10-year-old character of Ayush Menon was actually played by Surya Kasi Batla, a child with cerebral palsy. And of course, joining us is Surya Kasi Batla, the first neurodivergent actor in a Bollywood film. He's also a content creator and a coding instructor. Thank you all so much for joining us in this very, very critical conversation. Bhavesh, I would like to begin with you. I think, the first thing what I would like to ask you, we know like photography by the blind redefines the notions of seeing by challenging the very ideas that define a perfect or beautiful image. You started training under Blind with Camera in 2009. How do you use the lens to interact with the world?
First of all, as you all know, that photography relates to a visual art. And my journey towards photography has been a seesaw kind of journey. Because when I was a kid, I could see up to the age of 5, but not that much. Like I could see a little bit. So that time I had a color perception. So I had this notion, okay, this color perception that I have, I can utilize it. But unfortunately, that was not to be because like I lost my sight completely. There was a change in my primary school, or we can say high school actually, that there was my uncle actually. There is my uncle in my family who seems to like visual art. So he likes paintings, he likes drawings and things like that. So he took me to that visual art gallery. Okay, and there what he used to do is he used to describe the images, the drawings, the paintings, and he used to describe me in the way like as if the painting is really in front of you. I mean the thing is is there in front of me. It is happening right in front of me. So that intrigued me actually, and I thought, what if I would be able to do such a thing in the future? In 2009, where I was in the first year of my graduation, Parthu sir, who is the founder of Blind with Camera project, he came to my college and he made this announcement about this Blind with Camera course. I learned that photography, blind photography in 2009 for 1.5 years, wherein we, captured various moments of various places in Mumbai. And the best part of it was like we were never shown what we are clicking. The photography, like the photos that we captured, sir described those photos, and the response was very positive. Okay, which made me think of, okay, this is something probably I can develop as a hobby in my future.
Absolutely. And then you encourage so many other youngsters as well who've, followed you. Abhishek, if I can come to you here, you're a researcher who works on disability and gender. You write poems, essays. You've also recently acted in a short film. You're an author. I mean, you wear many hats. How does your work influence your art? And what is the kind of response that you get?
Basically, I think when it comes to in my life, everything thankfully has been interconnected. So I started, my impairment got worse in my 20s, and writing became a way of coping. So I started writing poems, wrote essays, personal essays, as a form of coping to begin with. But then I realized the power that any kind of writing which is vulnerable and which contains some amount of truth, that carries some amount of truth, that is very powerful. And I think that became the theme of my work of my life, because everything around me, disability wise, was very inspirational. And so to be vulnerable and to be yourself was the biggest goal behind doing anything.
Sure.
And I think then it extended into other forms of expression. I do spoken word performances, I do perform, which are also a form, an extension of my lived experience. It talks about what it is to be a person with disability. Because when you meet a person with disability, the general discourse is often of the arc, of how the person has overcome something. But I don't believe in overcoming. I think disability is something that you live with every day. And even if you have quote unquote achieved things, you are still, struggling with disability and with the ableist world around you. So I wanted to put focus on that, and that was my way of doing it, by writing or by performing and by telling my own story. Because I think every disabled body has different bodily experiences. So, but we have a common theme, which is alienation. I think there is an alienation which we feel in society because of ableist structures, because of the stigma that disability carries.
And when you actually, Abhishek, said alienation or you said stigma, I think that's what this initiative, Samarth, aims to do. Work towards that, work for equal rights. Now, just let's go across to Suresh. Suresh, tell us, over the years, movies in Bollywood have seen lead characters who are disabled. But all these movies have one thing in common, which is that the roles are played by non-disabled people. But Jalsa has bucked this trend by casting Surya, who has cerebral palsy. How did you decide to cast a child with a disability in the role of a character with a disability?
So, Ambika, to start off with, I think we all start writing with characters in mind, right? And the thing that we try to follow is be true to the character. Okay. Now, there are two parts of your question. One is that how come that we haven't represented or like put it in this way, that not many people with special abilities or a certain condition have not been shown on screen. Okay. And how come I made that choice? I think it's got to do with a certain, in my case, the reason why I know about this condition, okay, and I'll always call it a condition, was the reason that I've experienced it in very close quarters. Okay, someone whom I'm very close to has this condition. And what I tried to do was that it came naturally to me. There was no special purpose of writing a character, something like that. I think it's life experiences and what you gather in life. I just thought that I knew a person with a cerebral palsy, okay, is very conscious about the choices that they make, okay. They have the same ability, like anyone whom we call so-called able, okay. So for me, it was not a big deal, honestly speaking. I think in retrospect, the world looks at it like that, okay. But I was very sure that my first preference, okay, would be to go with someone who's gotten this condition, so that we stay true to the character and we also we do justice to that character.
So you went with your preference, you and Surya did do justice. Let's go across to Surya. Surya, you were only 4 years old when you first decided you wanted to be an actor. Please share your experience of acting in Jalsa from the beginning, from auditioning through the film.
Yeah, so I did want to act when I was 41 and did a moment with that. But at this point, I didn't think that I would get such an opportunity. So when I started on this role, I was very attentive to, audition because that's huge, thing and often. So I really wanted to play up, and the audition was just very unique because you do my first time actually in front of the camera. So yeah, this fun kind of feel the nitty of acting and how you make it perfect. But when to India, where the shooting, the whole team will like the space in each other. Everything feels very comfortable and they thinking like how you need any other actor. So I feel they made they for this for empathy working, but also feeling like any other actor. So I'm very happy that experience.
Well, Surya, you did a fantastic job. And Bhavesh, I want to come to you here. We just heard Surya had a lot of fun while he was shooting for Jalsa. What was your experience like when you shot with Katrina Kaif for the campaign? Tell us about that. Was it challenging?
Yeah. See, the first intention what I had for shooting off with Katrina was to break the barrier. You will never know until you try. That's the say. So that's the intention I had. And then when I went to shoot for the Katrina, I was of course nervous because this was the first time ever I was shooting for this particular commercial. Like when you are shooting, you have very limited time to shoot. You can't do much of the retakes. Okay, so you have to be precise and you have to be within the time constraints that you have to achieve what you want. So what helped me in that situation was the fabric that she had in with her. So it was making a noise which helped me perceive where she is, what position she's taking, and poses what she's doing and things like that. So that helped me quite a lot, and the result is in front of you.
Yes, the result is in front of us, and obviously that's why you received the prestigious Abbey Gold Award. I mean, of course, the nervousness and all that we can understand, but it did get you that award. I just want to go across to Suresh. Suresh, I want to ask you here, the level of awareness among filmmakers and the film fraternity regarding disability representation and the importance of authentic casting. Suresh, do you feel more disability representation in films is crucial if you wish to shift perceptions around disability?
Absolutely. I feel that any kind of communication, be it filmmaking, be it advertising, be it where you get to see more of it. Like even if you inform one person, like say very simple, like a condition of cerebral palsy got spoken about when Jalsa released. We never made it a harping point around it. I think it was post the film release when there was some chatter about it. Okay. Where people realize that what the condition is. Oh, so they do understand. Oh, so they do comprehend things. Oh, so they are intelligent, all of it. Because we lived in such a dumbed down version of understanding conditions that any small move, whether it's a piece of art, whether it's a piece in the world of politics, whether all these pieces, I think they're only going to add, even if you educate one person, it's an add-on. Yeah. You'll be sensitive about it.
Absolutely, even educate one person. And I think that's very, very important what Suresh pointed out. Abhishek, what do you think explains this reluctance to cast actors with disabilities? Is it stereotypes? Is it the limited roles? Or do you think it's the perceived risks?
Yeah, I think the first major hurdle is that there are no disabled people in many creative imaginariums, as I say it. Like Suresh said, he wrote a character who had cerebral palsy because he had someone close to him who had cerebral palsy. So the second thing is, of course, that disabled people can be everything. They can be heroes, they can be side characters, they can be villains, they can play any role. But when you don't think of disabled people as anything but deserving of your pity, then you don't think of them as people. So thinking of them as characters is difficult.
So on that note, we'll take a really short break. On the other side, we look for solutions. Stay tuned for more on Samarth by Hyundai. Welcome back. You're watching Samarth by Hyundai in partnership with NDTV, and we're talking about disability in popular culture. Bhavesh, how open is the advertising and photography industry when it comes to photographers with disability and also models with disabilities? How soon before we see disabilities represented in the advertising world? What are your thoughts on that?
I think this is still a beginning of disability, the people with disabilities getting into the advertising industry. If you want to approach a person with disabilities and in an advertisement, it is going to be a thought-provoking thing in terms of both aspects. So it depends on the person how or the advertising agency whether they would want to hire a person with disability for such things. You should not restrict yourself, or you should not hesitate to contact a person with disability or hire them in the advertisements, and you will not know, you cannot predict what the result would come.
Absolutely. I think that's really put well, and a chance must be given. Abhishek, if I can come to you, could you emphasize for those who are watching the show the importance of authentic representation in media and art, and also the positive impact it can have on changing societal perceptions of disability and also promoting inclusion?
Yeah, I think today the representation in films and across social media is quite poor. Most of the social media posts related to disability is about belittling disabled people, because it's considered dank by this generation. So there needs to be, but it's also because there are very few imageries of disability beyond the inspirational arc. Then there needs to be more diversity in how disabled people are represented on screen, on social media, on television, everywhere. They can be funny, they can be sad, they can be vulnerable, and that is essential for the imagination of people who are watching or creating content or doing whatever. If that has to change, the perception of disability, disabled people has to change.
Let's go to Suresh once again. Suresh, how can we bring more inclusiveness as a solution, implementing inclusive casting practices, creating more diverse and nuanced roles for disabled characters, and providing support and resources for disabled actors? What really is the way forward?
See, I don't think so. You can have a diktat, to be really honest, and that's something which I strongly believe in. And I'm saying currently be representation across all segments, and I'm saying that what it does, that it becomes just a tick, it's just like a tick mark, okay, and you don't want to be there, okay. You want to tell inspirational stories. You want to say stories. I would like a specially able person to play all kinds of roles, not just inspiring, but all kinds of characters. I feel that it will, the only way it can be, the representation could be increased is by participation. And I feel that even from I would love to have a specially able writer write a story for me. Okay, I think why talk just about acting? Okay, I would love to have representation across, be it a crew, be it in terms of a director, a writer, all of that. See, movie making is such an industry that it only understands the language of commercial success. Okay. When we arrive at a place like that, I guess a lot of these norms would become a lot of these so-called odds would become very normal. Okay. So I guess the only way is constantly keep telling stories and make sure that it's seen widely. There's no point in echo chambers, films that just move around in a small circle and do that. So I guess it needs to have a commercial viability. Plots which are commercial and have got representation. And that's the only way to go about it.
I want to come to you here. What next for you? Has the acting bug well and truly bitten you?
Before I answer that question, I wanted to add a couple of things.
Of course.
Okay, so I don't know what Suresh said. What I believe is that, especially everything is a part of society, right? And I mix it up. It's a moment. So why isn't anything against aligning such words with disabilities and like that? Not even like this. And I want to add one more thing, that as far as solution to the concern, even if you don't know what the concern is, how they behave. Even I think there is things to do. We can with them with everybody instead of somebody. That's mainly don't show or somebody. It's not everybody doing it. And the second one I want to say, I don't realize to be comfortable around you. And even any other person, then you would let her like that. And from your question on what next. So I don't have any right now, but I'm always looking for any roles, and I want to be you act more.
Well, wishing you all the very best for that. Thank you so much, Suresh and Surya, for joining us. Thanks so much, Bhavesh and Abhishek, for joining us in studio. The media and the creative industry's immense power to influence perception and attitudes is arguably unrivaled. While the representation of people with disabilities in popular culture has advanced, it is still limited in terms of the numbers of films and shows with characters with disabilities and non-stereotypical authentic portrayals. We need to ensure that these portrayals are inclusive, authentic, and empowering. Samarth by Hyundai establishes that it is a shared responsibility to create a world where people with disabilities are not merely included, but embraced and valued as human beings. Thank you so much for watching.